Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the Sports Talk Show. Say what you need to say. This is Gary Chicken Ingram on this Monday, April 15th, 2019. Hope everybody had a good Monday. My Monday started off pretty well. We got some great topics tonight that we're going to discuss. One of the main topics is today is actually Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball and Minor League Baseball. Also, we're going to talk about the main man, Mr. Tiger Woods, with his Masters champion from this weekend. And we're going to also talk some Braves baseball and some baseball news and what's going on with those Braves. We got a caller tonight that is calling in from Tampa, Florida. We have a Mr. Derek Hurd on the line with us tonight for the night show. How you doing, Mr. Hurd? Are you there?
I'm doing good, Gary. It's good to talk to you. How are you?
I'm doing great, sir. Doing great. How's that lovely weather down there in Tampa, Florida?
Sunny and 80, just like every other day.
Oh, really? Just like so you rubbing it in on those Northerners that had a snowstorm that came through yesterday, huh?
I didn't mean to do that, but you know what? If you don't like it, you can move to Florida.
Hey, we're gonna keep it clean. This is Say What You Need to Say, Mr. Hurd. You know, I want you to actually tell the listeners your thoughts on what do you think about tonight's topic. Say what you need to say, but we got to keep it clean. But I got a few topics that I think you'll be very interested in talking about. Today is actual Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball and in minor league baseball. And as you can see, viewers, I'm kicking my Dodger number 33 jersey in honor of Jackie Robinson, myself, me being a former Major League player with the Dodgers, and that guy meant a whole lot to me, and he means a lot to others out there, especially African-American players, for Jackie being the first African-American player to be called up to the major leagues. Mr. Hurd, do you follow any of Jackie Robinson's accolades and achievements and accomplishments that he did during his time? And if so, tell the listeners what Jackie Robinson Day means to you.
Well, you know what Jackie Robinson did for many of us, and I do have to admit I am an African American male who grew up in the South, and I played baseball and I did some other things. Eventually, I joined the military and served for over 20 years in the military. But
wow.
What Jackie did for many of us was open the door. You know, the Jim Crow laws of the 1960s and 1950s, the primary focus of that was to keep us away from being able to do things and be able to show what we could do. And Jackie kind of was the first to have that opportunity to show the world what we could do if we were afforded the opportunity to play baseball. And people sometimes think that it's all about baseball. It was bigger than baseball. Jackie was before Martin Luther King. He was that guy who had the courage to pursue his lifelong dream in a time when black people weren't allowed to do that. And I'll be honest with you. I'm a product of Jackie Robinson. Like I said, I served in the military, and I was able to go to the college that I chose to go to, and get the education I wanted to have. And a lot of that had to do with Jackie Robinson and the civil rights activists that died for our right to vote and to seek equality and the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
Right.
And so I have total respect, and all of us, I think, owe Jackie Robinson a lot for what he endured and the vision that he had for equality for African Americans.
Absolutely, Mr. Hurd. Hey, you said a lot in a nutshell, and you know, me myself being a professional baseball player for a number of years, and I've been coaching the last 18 years in professional baseball. Hey, this guy, and I'm speaking of Mr. Jackie Robinson, listeners and viewers, I know you probably saw the movie 42. If you haven't, please go out and try to watch that movie. I watched it several times, and you know, Mr. Hurd made a great point. He came out before Martin Luther King, and we want to keep this focus on his day to day, but actually, Jackie Robinson really had to deal with a lot of things that a lot of us couldn't deal with today. And for him to be on that stage, as a matter of fact, in 1949, General Manager Branch Rickey decided, against all other naysayers out there, that he wanted to call up Mr. Robinson to the Brooklyn Dodgers. And by watching the movie, it explained a lot, and it explained some things that I didn't even know. I thought I knew everything about him, but I saw some things that was going on. I didn't know in Sanford, Florida, some things were going on where they didn't want him to play. But, putting it all in a nutshell, Jackie Robinson, like Mr. Hurd said, means a lot to everyone, not just African-American players, but everybody that put a uniform on every day. And he created the equal balance to show the major leagues that it was a lot of players in the Negro leagues back then that they said some of them were better than Jackie, but Jackie was the one that Branch Rickey decided to put that pressure on. And Mr. Hurd, let me ask you a question about Mr. Robinson during that time. Do you think you could have dealt with some of the harsh treatments and some of the death threat mails and letters that his family was getting? Do you think you could have dealt with that during that time?
It's interesting that you would ask me that question, because I was actually sitting here thinking about wanting to make that point. Jackie Robinson, I think the biggest thing about how he was able to succeed, and he actually was a great player, but the way that he was able to tolerate some of all of the abuse that he took. I mean, he traveled on the bus with his fellow teammates, yet when they stayed in a hotel, he couldn't stay in the same hotel. And I don't know, you mentioned the movie 42, which I actually have laying right here in front of me. There's a scene in there where Branch Rickey and Mr. Robinson get into a conversation, and Mr. Rickey tells him, I need you to not react to this. I need you to be strong enough to not fight. And I don't know of a player in the major leagues, in the NFL, in any major sport right now that would have the strength to not respond the way Mr. Robinson did.
Hey, you know what? You took the words right out of my mouth. There was another scene. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're pretty much kind of giving a history lesson in a nutshell, and also mixing it in with some baseball and the reason why we have Jackie Robinson Day. But I think some listeners need to hear this, because a lot of people don't know the full story or the full gambit of what Jackie Robinson went through. But Mr. Hurd, you brought up a point about that scene when he said he needed him to be strong and not fight back. It was another scene where he was in the dugout and he went down and Branch Rickey went to meet him in the dugout, and Jackie almost gave up in that scene, but Branch Rickey mentioned to him that, he was the medicine for everybody else. And that scene pretty much kind of brought me to tears, Mr. Hurd. And Jackie decided to go back on that field because he almost broke himself right there, but he was still strong enough. And being a baseball player in today's age, none of us had to actually deal with any of those type of situations that Jackie Robinson had to get through. And then if you watch the entire movie, listeners and viewers, you're going to really understand what type of person this guy was. And like I said, we're not taking anything away from Jackie Robinson today. Matter of fact, we're going to flip back over. Jackie Robinson won the World Series in 1955 as well with the Brooklyn Dodgers. But, today is a day where everybody's going to adorn his number and going to give him, pay tribute to him and what he's done for the game of baseball. Do you have a Jackie Robinson jerseys hanging around anywhere, Mr. Hurd?
I do not, but I'd like for Gary Ingram to send me one.
Hey, you put me on blast right there in front of thousands and maybe millions right there. But you know what, Mr. Hurd, I might have to come up with something and make sure I mail you a 42 jersey. That's exactly what. But today is a great day in history. Today is a great day in baseball, major league and minor league. And Jackie Robinson will always be remembered in the hearts of all baseball players, especially African American players, because to be honest, if it wasn't for Jackie Robinson, a lot of us would not have gotten the opportunity that we have today. And I know everybody always asks me this during the season. I wear a piece of white tape around my finger, and I put 42 on there. And the reason why I do that is that reminds me of what Jackie Robinson went through in order for me to be able to have an opportunity to be able to put a uniform on every day for the past 30 years. And I have been blessed. And, you know, Mr. Hurd, we could go on and on about Jackie Robinson. But what I will say, I do recommend everyone get the DVD or download it and watch the movie 42. You will learn some lessons. Now, on to our next subject for tonight. And Mr. Hurd, are you an avid golfer?
I am an avid golfer, and I have been for about 20 years.
Oh, 20 years. What's your handicap, sir, if you don't mind me asking?
Right now, I am handicapped.
Hey, you heard it straight out of the mouth of Mr. Derek Hurd out of Tampa, Florida, ladies and gentlemen. But you already know where I'm going with this next topic. We are going to discuss Mr. Tiger Woods, the 2019 Masters champ, man. Mr. Hurd, I'm going to let you start this off. What do you think was going through Tiger's mind when he sunk that last putt to win his 5th Masters championship?
Well, I've got an unusual answer for you. The first thing is, I know we're not talking about Jackie Robinson anymore, but I want to leave that whole Jackie Robinson subject with, it's important that we remember our history. And like you said, in your referral to folks to reach out and get that DVD of 42, we need to know our history, and if we don't, we might repeat it. Okay, so that's a great lesson. Now, moving on to Tiger Woods,
say what you need to say.
Tell you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Say what you need to say. This is the show for you to say what you need to say, Mr. Hurd.
Well, for Tiger Woods winning the 2019 Masters, for one, I was kind of hoping to actually be there to see it, but I wasn't able to make it.
Wow.
Because it was a very tough ticket to get. But I've been a fan of Tiger Woods since he came onto the scene. Tiger Woods got me into golf, and he is pretty close, or has been, from a golfing perspective, pretty close to the type of player that Jackie Robinson has been for Major League Baseball.
Yes.
Before Tiger Woods, there weren't a whole lot of black players that played golf, and I'm one of them.
Right.
And the other thing about Tiger Woods' influence on golf is he was one of the first golfers to bring athleticism into the game of golf. And now when you look around at the players, you see most of them are athletes, the Adam Scotts and those guys. They're all working out, and they're muscular, and they're thin. So Tiger Woods is the guy who changed the game. Now, Tiger Woods was at the top of the game, and as a matter of fact, when he was at the height of his supremacy, Tiger Woods was winning about 25% of the tournaments that he was playing in. When you think about that, generally a PGA tournament starts with about 150 golfers. And if you've got one guy that's pretty much guaranteed to win 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 4 of those tournaments, that's how dominant he was. The PGA has a rating scale, and I don't know how the metrics work out, but when he was the number 1 player in golf, let's just say his number was 20. The next player on that list was at a 6 or a 7.
Wow.
Okay, so he was more than 2 times better than the number 2 player in the world. That's how awesome he was.
Well, Mr. Hurd,
now,
I'm gonna cut you off. I ain't gonna cut you off, but I'm gonna say what I need to say. Hey, you are right on point. I'm gonna throw some of these statistics out right now that's gonna coincide with what you're saying. You know, Tiger, He's 43 years old. He's the second oldest winner of the Masters behind Jack Nicklaus, who was 46. Tiger last won his last Masters in 2005, which was 14 years ago. Okay. This was his 15th major. He's still 3 behind tying Jack Nicholson. And you know what else too? By what you said, Tiger Woods is a guy in reference to what Jackie Robinson was to Major League Baseball and baseball, period. Tiger changed the entire landscape because, like you said, he got you into playing golf, and he also got me into playing more golf, and he pretty much got a lot of African American other cultures into playing golf. And they, like they say, an icon comes around once every 20 years in a sport, correct?
I agree, but Tiger had a way of making golf cool. I mean, Tiger just made golf cool.
What?
You know, and I was talking to my wife about Tiger Woods the other day. Yeah. I don't know if you watched the tournament, but if you did, the last threesome, the threesome that Tiger was in, if you check them out, they were all wearing Nike golf attire.
Absolutely.
From head to toe. Okay. Before Tiger Woods, there was no Nike golf.
There you go.
Hey. Tiger Woods created a brand. Okay, he created a brand.
Right.
And to see him playing with 2 of his proteges who Nike probably signed and whatever. But here's the thing about Tiger Woods. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you something. I'm probably the best person in the world for you to bring up Tiger Woods and to talk about Tiger Woods and where he's come from. Because when Tiger Woods was at the height of his career, I placed him on a pedestal.
Did you?
I placed him on a pedestal that was probably too high for any man to maintain. And when Tiger Woods started to go downhill and started to go into some of his dark areas, and all of the stuff came out about his DUI and his infidelity.
Right.
I totally wrote him off. I was disappointed in Tiger Woods. I was hurt. I was shocked. I was just I threw away Tiger Woods paraphernalia just like people threw away LeBron's jerseys when he went to Miami. I really did.
Wow. Let me throw a curveball at you, even though we're talking about golf, because since you're talking about you threw him away, which a lot of people, millions of people did because of some of the infidelity things that he did and some of the scandals and some of the injuries. Now, all these sponsors, it was one company that stuck with this guy, and you know who I'm about to say. It was Nike.
Absolutely.
Nike was the only company that stuck with this guy. Everybody else decided to do what a lot of millions of people did and drop him. Then TaylorMade jumped on the bandwagon. Bridgestone jumped on. Monster Drinks jumped on. So guess what? Those guys are cashing in on the resurgence of Tiger Woods winning this Masters. Now, I will say this too. I wasn't a fan of the mock golf turtleneck shirts, but guess what? I'm going to buy me about 5 of them this week, because those mock turtlenecks that he was wearing in this tournament, they are going to be big sellers. Do you agree or not?
I agree. And I think it was a process.
Yeah.
I think that those of us who got back on the bandwagon, we took some time to heal. I took some time to heal, and everybody makes mistakes. And what I realized was that I placed Tiger Woods on this pedestal that was beyond what a man should deserve. We're all men. We're all human, and we're all sinners. Like they say in the Bible, he who is without sin, let him cast the first stone.
Correct.
And when you look back at it, this guy fought back. And when he won at East Lake last year, and he's walking down that last fairway, and the crowd that was behind him looked like Arnie's army.
There you go.
I knew he was back. And I hope he does. And I hope he does well. Hey. But here's the other thing that I want to point out.
Go ahead.
Because we're talking about his infidelity, and we're talking about his DUI and all of that. We're not talking about his 4 or 5 knee surgeries, and his back.
I was coming to that. Go ahead.
Back from multiple back surgeries.
Yes.
You know, I've never had back surgery, but I can't imagine that's something that's fun. And I know just the thought of it, it's got to be scary. He's out there swinging a golf club 120 miles an hour with a fused back.
Hey, man, you know what, Mr. Hurd? I'm gonna drop a few points on this Tiger Woods situation, and we're gonna move to the final and last topic. But you said it all in those few minutes that you were just speaking, man. You know, I will say this: being in the sports world myself, and I've never been to the top tier of what Tiger Woods and a lot of other iconic players in their individual sports have been. But, you know, for this guy, like you said, to have gone through the embarrassment of the cheating scandals, the injuries and the surgeries and the back surgeries. And at one point, Tiger couldn't chip a ball 10 yards. And that was when I was starting to doubt him being able to do it again. But you know what, man? This guy is one of the tough-minded mental competitors in the game of golf. And to be honest, if I know the equipment and the technology is better now than it was when Jack Nicklaus was on the plan, but the competition is a whole lot stiffer, I think, as well. You had Molinari that was in the league for the entire tournament going into Sunday. You had Tony Finau that made a charge. You had Koepka that was right there. Dustin Johnson was coming. So Tiger had to hold off all those guys. And to be honest, I was talking to someone the other day, Molinari and Finau actually left the door cracked for Tiger, and Tiger walked right through it. He didn't bat an eye, and he had that superior calmness about himself. You could just see, like you said, he made it cool, and he had that superior calmness to where, hey, I'm going to wait to strike, and Tiger pounced, man. But on the last note on this Tiger Woods thing, you know, a guy bet some bookies, I think the odds were 14-1. He bet $85,000 and walked away with a $1.2 million reward check for picking Tiger Woods that nobody else would pick to win the match. And again, you know, Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods. You got the Michael Jordan of basketball. You got the Jackie Robinson of baseball. And you got the Tiger Woods of golf. This guy has changed the game. And congratulations again, Tiger Woods, for winning your 15th major, your 5th green jacket. But our next topic is something that everybody's talking about right now. You know, I'm up in Atlanta, Georgia. This is Braves country. So we're going to have a little bit of Braves news. Are you a Braves fan, Mr. Hurd?
I've been a Braves fan ever since I could
remember.
Yeah, my grandfather was a Hank Aaron fan. In fact, nice. My wife and I this weekend are actually going up to Milwaukee to catch a game up there, and nice. We're gonna. One of the things I want to see is the Henry Aaron statue that they have up there. You know, he started out with the Milwaukee Braves, and then he moved to Atlanta with the Atlanta Braves, and then went back, I think, and finished his career with the Brewers. So we're actually doing that. So I've been a Braves fan since for a long time. I don't want to put a number out there.
Great. But you know what? The Braves sparked some real good fire from last year going to the playoffs, and they're hoping again to get back to the playoffs this year. They've been playing pretty good so far. They added some pieces. They got Donaldson playing third base for them now. But actually, what's going on in the ranks up there right now is their pitching is in a carousel right now. I know you've probably been following the news. And a couple of days ago, they sent down a struggling Sean Newcomb down to AAA, man. Saturday, he had a 4-0 lead on the Mets, and he gave it up, man. And you know, Touki Toussaint came in and pitched 6 great relief innings, but they are optioning Sean Newcomb down to AAA Gwinnett, and Touki Toussaint is taking his spot in the rotation. What are your thoughts on them sending Newcomb down, even though Newcomb had been doing pretty good? Now, he did struggle in spring training where he had a lot of walks and he gave up a lot of runs, but what are your thoughts on them sending him to AAA, and how long do you think they're going to keep him down there?
Well, last time I checked, I think Sean Newcomb is 13, so they're young. They're just young. Like I said, I've been a Braves fan for years, and I can remember I can remember when the best Braves pitchers were Rick Mailer and 42-year-old Phil Niekro.
Man, you old. You're telling your age, sir.
Hey, Rick Mailer's approach was, I'm going to throw it up there. I'm going to hope it makes it to the catcher, and then we're going to see how far you can hit it. Right. And Phil Niekro, I love him. He's a knuckleballer. Mm-hmm. I think he won 300 games and lost 300 games, okay? I can remember when Glavine came up, and Glavine could only pitch on the outside. That was his thing. He just, everything he threw was on the outside corner. It was either fastball or a changeup. And then once he learned how to pitch on the inside, he became a Hall of Famer. So these kids are young. Kids are young.
How long?
Fulton Davis is going to be a great pitcher. He's going to be a number one guy. Kyle Wright has the potential to be the second coming of Greg Maddux. Okay. Sean Newcomb. He's got great stuff, but they've got other kids out there.
Yes,
there's a kid, I can't remember his name.
Max Fried. He's
Max
coming.
Fried.
Yes, sir.
But they've got another kid that resembles CC Sabathia.
I'm trying to think who you're talking about. But yeah, put it this way, the Braves have their main goal is to build pitching. They've been doing it for years. That's how they won those 13 consecutive division championships. And like I said, I think Newcomb, this is going to be a confidence booster for him. I'm pretty much sure that's what it's about. And of course, injuries are starting to plague him again, man. Vizcaino got hurt again, and now AJ Minter has gone back into the closer role, and they called back up Mr. Winkler, who a couple years ago was supposed to have a solidified spot in the rotation, and Jacob Webb. They both just got recalled from AAA, but like you said, you mentioned Fultonavich, he got one more rehab start in AAA, and then he's back on the bump for the Braves. So, you know, the best part about this is they got some pieces that can come in while they got some pieces going out. So that's a great situation. I ain't gonna say a great situation, but sometimes when guys get hurt and you don't have a solid piece that's coming to fill that piece, it can make it even tougher down the road. So let me ask your opinion on, because we got about 2 more minutes left in the show. Let me ask your opinion on where do you see the Braves at during the All-Star break, and where do you see them at nearing the end of the season?
I think the Braves are going to win the division. Okay, let me tell you why.
Tell us why.
I believe if you check the numbers right now for their division, I believe the Braves ERA is the lowest ERA in the division.
I hear you.
Even with everything that we've said, there's been a couple of pitchers that have come in and given up a lot of runs. I think if you check your numbers, I just looked at this probably an hour ago,
right,
and the Braves have a plus 15 run scoring differential, and I think they've given up the fewest number of runs in the division.
Right.
So their pitchers aren't doing well, but as well as we think they should. But here's the other thing.
Tell us.
I believe that the Braves are 10 deep. 10, not 5. I believe they are 10 deep with starting pitchers. I believe they've got 5 starting pitchers on their roster and 5 more in the minor leagues that are ready to start and could come up and start for other teams. You got to look at teams. You know, the best team right now in Major League Baseball is the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, that's cool.
And they're doing the same thing the Braves are doing. I think when you look at the young Braves, when you look at the Albies and the Acuñas, like that big commercial with Mike Trout says, let the kids play. That's what we got to do. Let them play.
Hey, man, you know what, Mr. Hurd? You said a mouthful, and you were right on point, sir. And, you know, I really do appreciate you giving these listeners and viewers your input and your knowledge on Braves baseball, Tiger Woods, and Jackie Robinson. Mr. Hurd, you know, we covered some pretty sensitive topics tonight, and for the viewers and the listeners out there that's going to watch the show, just remember, do a little homework and just check your history. Jackie Robinson is not going anywhere anytime soon, and today is the day where they are going to pay tribute to him. I was fortunate enough to meet some of his family members last year in Charlotte when they came down for an event for Jackie Robinson Day there. And, you know, we talked about Tiger Woods being the ultimate superior golfer on this planet right now, next to the Jack Nicklaus's, the Gary Players, and the Sam Sneaks. And also we discussed a little bit about some Braves pitching. Mr. Hurd, is there anything you would like to leave with the listeners and the viewers before we get out of here on the show tonight? What do you got for us taking us out?
Well, I just want to close with this, Gary. I mean, we talked about some history and we talked about some greatness. One of the things that I want us to do is recognize the greatness that we still have with us. Absolutely. One of the things I've always wanted to do all my life is to meet Henry Aaron. We still have Henry Aaron. I saw him on TV the other day, and I mean, you talk about one of the greatest hitters ever to live. You know, I would advise everybody to reach out to the great people that we still have that represented back in the day and that are still around. And I tell you, if I could meet Henry Aaron and just to tell him how much he's inspired me.
Wow.
And one of my sons is named Aaron.
Wow.
Because of Henry Aaron.
Nice.
So, you know,
nice.
I would just say, let's celebrate our history, but let's also recognize the people that we still have with us, because life is short and we're all blessed to be here.
Absolutely, Ms. Hurd. I was fortunate and blessed enough to meet Mr. Aaron about three or four times, and down to earth, great guy, and he got a grip like a handshake like a vice grip, and that tells me why he hit all those home runs. But Mr. Hurd, we really do appreciate you being on the show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Derek Hurd out of Tampa, Florida, said what he needed to say, and he was right on point. Mr. Hurd, thank you once again for coming on the show, and we'll talk to you soon, sir.
Thank you, Gary, for inviting me.
Yes,
Have a
sir.
great night.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We had Mr. Derek Hurd from out of Tampa, Florida, calling in for the show tonight, and he was pretty deep. He might have been the deepest caller that I had so far on the show. He knew his history. He knew his history about Jackie Robinson. He knew his history about the Braves. He also knew his history about Tiger Woods. So this is a learning curve for me from Mr. Derek Hurd out of Tampa, Florida tonight. We discussed Jackie Robinson Day, everybody wearing number 42. I'm also rocking my Dodger jersey in honor and tribute to Mr. Jackie Robinson, who made it possible for me to get to Major League Baseball and to play professional baseball. Also, we talked about the 2019 Masters champion, Mr. Tiger Woods, who many believe had no chance of winning another major, let alone a few more golf tournaments, but he proved us all wrong again. Also, we ended with some Braves news about the pitching carousel that's going on in Atlanta right now. But like Mr. Hurd said, they are set up to where if someone gets hurt in the major leagues, they got some horses in the minor leagues to step right in and keep the train moving. Like I said before, people, go on Facebook, leave your comments, leave a contact number, email. My contact number is 706-464-0090, and my email is garyingram@yahoo.com. Reach out to me so you can be a caller on the show, and go to YouTube and subscribe to the Say What You Need to Say talk show. And like I said, great conversation with Mr. Hurd out of Tampa, Florida. We will be back with you again at the end of the week. Have a good one, people.